What would be the best setting to play AOE 3 Definitive Edition? What's up boys and girls, this is Jaegerchere. Today I will be explaining which setting you should adjust in your game settings so you will have a better gameplay experience and potentially improve in your game. Firstly, this is something that people barely notice and some might underestimate it, and that's going to be the colors. And you might ask, why do you need to change your color? Having properly adjusted color is very important. Firstly, to see the actions inside the map if your colors are not adjusted in a way that you could notice the enemy units and building inside the map, or even your units and buildings could end up in a disaster, such as having your enemy units raiding you or running against you, and you won't be noticing that inside the minimap. So make sure you won't set colors like black, white, or some colors same as the Hunt's gold mine and the trees. Here you can see an example of why you shouldn't be using black. So as you can see, inside the minimap, it's purely black. It's almost like one of these unscouted area. So especially if you haven't scouted the map, which the map is not shown like this, you will be having some struggle finding your units. So as you can see, if I try to group my units, it will be something like this inside the minimap. And at the same time, if your opponent knows that you're using black color, he can use it against you, hide units in the corner. As you can see, you won't be seeing this inside the minimap because, well, you're using black. And it won't be shown because inside the minimap, the color of the edge of the map is basically defined as black. So they can just walk into the corners and just hide their units and just try to sneak in and sneak out of your line of sight without you even noticing. So that's why. So as you can see, it's kinda hard to identify these units from the background. And as you can see, the trade post and the trade route are identified as white inside the minimap. So if either you or your opponent is using this toward their advantage, well, for you it's like disadvantage if you're using white for yourself, you might have some trouble. And as you can see, the units inside the snow are kind of blending in, and considering there is like decent amount of map that have snow in them, you might have some trouble identifying your units. But I would say in maps that they don't have snow in their background or on the ground, you will be able to get away with it, so that shouldn't be a problem. But again, I would be highly suggesting you guys to not do this. So try to not use white or any color that is used inside the background or the floors of the map. And here is why you shouldn't use any color that is close to gold mine colors. As you can see inside the minimap, you can almost barely see or notice the difference between your unit and the gold mine. So any color close to gold mines, you shouldn't be using. And then the same thing applies for any color that is close to berry bushes, hunts, or any livestock animal that is dead inside the map. So they will be shown as brownish color. So try to avoid using any color near to this color, so you won't be kind of confused when you have your unit or your enemy units near these. So this can be really used effectively if you are not paying attention to it, or if your opponent is not paying attention to it. You can just kind of abuse this. Then you can just either use it for raid, you can use it for runs, and your opponent probably won't be noticing because they might think, oh, that's just hunt, or it's just batch of food on the ground, so I don't need to notice that. So make sure to keep that in mind as well. And obviously the same thing for the trees. You try to avoid any color that is close to the tree, or green, dark green color inside the minimap. Bright green is fine. Later I will be going through all of the colors that I use, so you can just try to use the same. So as you can see, this could end up being very awkward, so try to avoid using any dark green or any color that is close to the three colors inside the minimap. How you can navigate the colors inside AOE 3D, just go to the option and then go to accessibility, and then you can adjust all of the colors here. But you have to make sure you're on the main menu, because if you're inside the game, you won't be able to adjust the colors. So these are the colors that I've set, and I'm really satisfied with them. I would suggest you guys to use the same, because these are like bright colors for 8 different players. All of them are different, they're not close to each other. Of course, if you have like color blind issues, or if you have different contrast in your monitor, then obviously you can use different color setup. So just make sure it's visible for you, you will notice them, and you won't have issue tracking the color inside the minimap or inside the game itself. So this is the red. I think this is like the standard red. You can just copy and paste the numbers into your game. And this is my blue. This is my yellow. This is my purple. My green. My orange. My teal. And my pink. And then the same first row is used for team 1, team 2, team 3, and team 4. But I don't usually use the team colors. So I prefer to have player colors so I can identify which player is where, because I usually play team games. So it's very important for me to identify which color is which side of the map at which time. So this is why I don't really use the team color. But other than that, you can use the same color setup for your game as well. As for the other section of the accessibility, I'm not using anything else. As you can see, everything is disabled, so I don't really need them. If you feel you really need either of these, you can go for it, but I personally don't find any value in using either of these, so you can just have them disabled, have them on default. And then next we have the graphics option, which is very important if you want to have a smooth performance inside your game and not have any lag or any issue. So obviously you want to play the game in full screen, because this is an RTS game. You want to see everything inside the map and inside your screen. You don't want to miss anything. And then your resolution, well, definitely depends on what monitor you're using. Usually it's the best if you set the same resolution as your monitor. And then obviously if your PC or your laptop is not really that optimized in terms of performance, so you have like low-end PC or laptop, you could potentially reduce the resolution lower than your monitor resolution, so you will have a smoother performance. Regarding this frame rate limit, I would highly suggest, even if you have a low-end PC and even if you have a low-end laptop, I would highly suggest you guys to just keep it at 144 FPS. This doesn't mean that your game will constantly play at 144, but it will try to go up to its maximum potential FPS, and then it won't limit your device. And before the current PC that I have, I was using a gaming laptop, and at some point I had the frame rate limit reduced to 50 and sometimes 40, and then I could notice that it was kind of screwing the game up. I don't know why, but I found out that if you put it on maximum frame rate limit, the game will run much better. So you just put it at max and let your PC do the job. It will try to adjust it automatically, so you don't need to adjust it. So once again, I would highly suggest to just keep this at maximum. VSync, again, turn it off. It doesn't matter if you have high-end PC or low-end PC, you can just turn it off. For AOE 3DE, I've noticed that VSync is not really doing that much for you. And then for SSAA, you can just put it on 100. You won't be noticing anything other than that. You can just leave it at 100, nothing too fancy. And then for the details, I personally like the dynamic lights and the tracer effect and the clouds. So that's why I have all of these turned on. But of course, if you have lower end device, you should definitely turn these off because they will be kind of heavy inside your PC. They will try to take a lot of resources inside your PC because all of these are like extra graphics that are applying inside the game. So you want to have that as low as possible so your game will be performing as best as possible, so you will have higher FPS. And then the unit alpha, I usually leave it at 60. That's like more than enough. Then the particle quality, I put it on normal. If you have lower PC, then obviously put it on low, so your game will try to perform better. And then the post-processing, the bloom effect, I just don't find it interesting, so I just always turn it off. The SSAO, I can say, is not really doing that much of a difference. You can just have it turn off. And then for anti-aliasing, I'm using FXAA. You can put it on none if your device is not really the best, so you can just turn it off basically. But my device is actually really good, but I find that it's not really making that much difference when I'm having FXAA or temporal anti-aliasing, so that's why I leave it on FXAA. And then regarding the quality, so this is where the most important part of your graphic setting comes in action. So make sure, depending on your PC or your laptop, you will be adjusting the setting. My PC is actually really good. I have 4070 Ti, I have i5 13th gen and 32 GB RAM, so I can just run this setting without having any issue at all. So since obviously I love high quality games, so that's why I put the texture and the shaders at high. The shadow, I would say you can just turn it off or you can put it on medium. As I've said, since I don't find any difference between very high, and medium inside the game, I just put it on medium so it doesn't really affect my FPS inside the game. But if your device is like low end and if you're not having a very good gaming PC or laptop, you can just turn it off. That should be fine. And then foliage is like very heavy for your device because it just adds a lot of detail inside the game. So this one, again, if your PC or laptop is not really good, you should definitely put it on low so it will have the least effect. But if your device is decent, you can just leave it at high because you will have a really nice experience playing the game with high foliage and high quality because you'll see all of the details, all of the textures inside the game. It looks very beautiful. And then for the water, I usually put it on medium. And again, if your device is not really optimized, it's not really that strong, I would highly suggest to just put it on low because for the game to render the water constantly, it takes quite a lot of resources to do that. So putting it on low, it would be the best option if your device is not really in a good spot. And then for the extra zoom, I always have it turned off. I barely use it because I personally feel that when you're zoomed out, you're less focused on the fight. So I find it very hard to do like unit micro, artillery micro. All of these is not really that good. Obviously, when you have extra zoom, you can have a better map control, but other than that, I find the extra zoom not that useful. That's why I just have it turned off, so I always play with the default zoom. And then the asset preloading, I wouldn't really suggest turning it on because I haven't even experienced any difference when you have it on or have it off when I had a lower end device. So I would say you can just leave it as it is. And then moving into in-game setting. So make sure you have enabled the right click camera drag. So this is actually something interesting. sometimes I like using it, especially while casting. It's really interesting to have. And then the camera rotation, I would highly suggest you guys to use this setting, especially if you're doing artillery fight. If you want to improve in your artillery fight, it helps a lot. So I was not using camera rotation for a very long time, and then at some point I realized this is a very good change to have inside the game, so then I turned it on and then just got used to it. So it is very nice and very useful inside your fight, especially if you're trying to focus on your fight and your opponent. So again, to do that, you just go to the option and then go to game option and enable camera rotation. And then after that, you just hold Control and then use your arrow key, and then you can just turn it to either direction that you want. So the reason I say it's very useful in artillery fight and also to focus on your opponent, because it's much easier to go back and forth, up and down, than going like sideways with your mouse. Let's just say that's just how human hand works. I guess it's much easier to go up and down than going through the side of the screen, or even go left and right. So that's why I say it's more useful, so you can just constantly go back and forth, up and down, and then same for this. But I can promise you this helps a lot in improving in the artillery fight. So make sure you do this if you want to improve in your artillery fight. I can promise you it will help a lot. And then the camera acceleration, I have it on 40, but then this is again depending on your preference. You can just adjust it to higher or lower, but for me 40% is just enough. Camera shake, make sure you have it off. It kind of screws up your performance of your PC, and also at the same time it's kind of annoying. I find it very annoying as soon as a building goes down, the camera just shakes. And then the scroll speed, again, that's up to you. For me, it's 9%. This is good enough for me because my mouse has a different scroll speed as well, and I can adjust it from the software as well. So that's why I have it set on 9%. And then the easy drag, make sure you have it on. It's very helpful inside the game, especially if you want to identify which one is your military, which one is your economy unit. And then the economy gather point, you can have it on or off, but I usually have it off because I prefer it this way. I've played the game this long with this being turned off, so I'm just very used to this. So that's why I have it turned off. But then I've seen a lot of players, they have it turned on, so you can do it. And then this one, allowing the computer players to chat. This is just for the AI. You can just turn it off or on depending on your mood, but sometimes I play the campaign, that's why I have it on. And then clamp mouse to Windows, you can have it off. Disable event cosmetics, you can just turn it off. This is up to you. Sometimes when an update comes in, there will be effects and skins and stuff, so this is just for that. And then allow cross network play, make sure you have it on. This one allows you to play with those who are like Steam users and also Microsoft users, so both of them can play together, so make sure you have it on. Else, I think you won't be able to play with either of them. If you're like, for example, Steam user, you won't be able to play with Microsoft users, and well, the vice versa. And then the online privacy, you can either turn it on or off. That's just whatever you prefer. And then show notifications, you can have it on or off, but I usually have it on because it's kind of helpful to see who's entering the lobby or who's rejecting your invite to the game. So I find it useful, but it's not something that game changing. Save filter setting, you can have it off. Sort by clan, you can also have it off. Next one is the UI option for language. Whatever language you're using and you want, you can just set it on that. HUD layout, I personally prefer the classic one because, well, I've played this game for so long and I've always played it with the classic layout, so that's why I prefer it this way. But you can change it in a different way depending on what you prefer. As you can see, you can always just hover your mouse on the layout, and then it will show you how it looks roughly. And then for the scale of the HUD, I always put it on 100%, but I guess if you're using lower end PC, you can put it on 80%. That should be fine as well. And then for the show game time, you can either turn it on or off. I would suggest you guys to turn it on because you will have a better understanding of if you're ahead, if you're not, what is your opponent doing at which time, what are you doing at which time. This helps you a lot, not just for one game. Obviously in one game you won't notice that, but while you're doing this in multiple game and through different time, you will notice that if you're ahead of what you're supposed to be or if you're behind of what you're supposed to be. So this helps you quite a lot. And then show player score is very good, very important. Make sure you always have it on so you can see if your enemy is ahead, if your enemy is behind in score. This is like very important factor in AOE 3 DE or any RTS game. So you will have to know if your enemy is ahead of you in terms of score, in terms of resources, in terms of units. So all of these you can know by knowing how the score works. I guess I can just make a separate video explaining how the score works in AOE 3 DE. So that will be for later, but make sure you always have it on so you will know which state of the game you're sitting at. And then show units hit point. This, make sure you always have it on because it helps you a lot. You kind of have to practice this as well, but you can just use this so much toward your advantage. If you want to kite the enemy units, kite and then hold alt and see which one is lower HP so you don't overcome it killing a unit. As we say, we don't overkill the unit. You can also use it to see which hunt have how much HP, so it's very useful for herding, so make sure to do that as well. And then show hit point on rollover. I have it turned off because at some point I had it turned on, but then I found it very annoying to play with, so I'm just used to the alt hotkey. So this is, I would say, more useful than this one. So if you get used to this, this will help you a lot, so make sure to have that on. And then show unit training queue. This is important. You always turn it on so you will see how long more you have to wait for unit to come out. And then resource gather per minute. I really find this very, very important. That's why I always turn it on, because especially in a 3D game or a longer game, when you know how much resource per minute your settlers will gather or should gather, this helps a lot. Trust me, this helps a lot to have a better understanding of your game. And then show resource gauge on harvest. So make sure you also have it on so you'll see how many settlers you have on each resources. This is very important. Show advanced resources. This is also something interesting that you can use toward your advantage. You can also turn it off. Won't be the end of the world, but I would highly suggest to have it on. And then advanced formation, very important. Make sure to turn it on because you can use your unit in stagger mode, defense mode. It's the best if you see your unit is in which stance, so you will use that toward your advantage. Some of the units have different abilities, different stats in different formations, so that's why I would highly suggest to have this turned on because you can use this very nicely. And then the advanced tech, make sure to have this on so you can see the detail of the text when you hover over them. And then show visual control groups. So again, this is something that is good, especially if you want to track your units. I usually use the control groups to track my units. You can track for your daimyos, your cavalries, your infantry or artillery units. So as soon as the units die, obviously the control group will be gone, or if you have a control group on military building, that's the same. As soon as the control group is gone, you will know that the military building is also removed or destroyed. So this helps quite a lot. And then this one, enable transparent effect on age up menu. I would highly suggest to turn this on. This was also added recently. This was a mod before, but then it was added recently. It helps quite a lot when you're aging up, so you can see what's happening behind that big age up screen. So I would highly suggest to have this on. And then we have this turn on mini home city deck. I can assure you this helps you a lot. So here's why the mini deck is good. It's very easy to use. It's very small. You just press here, and then select the deck that you want. Anything, it doesn't matter. You can click the card. You can just press back easily. You don't have to do that much. It's much easier. And even if you use the hotkey for the home city, you can just do it easier as well. As you can see, it's just very fast. And meanwhile, if you don't use the mini deck, as you can see, as soon as you press the home city key, you will jump into your home city. You can't see what's happening inside your fight. You can see the mini map, but you won't be able to see the fight and control the fight, just like how the mini deck was working. So you just have to every time click on this, go back, and then obviously all of these take resources. So every time you press this coming into your home city, if you're not really having a decent PC or gaming laptop, your device might have trouble rendering all of these every time you press the home city. So that's why I would say the mini deck is really good, very strong, and it also helps you a lot if you want to improve the game to be faster. If you want to improve your APM, it helps quite a lot. Then the next important feature that you should turn on is display hotkey command. So make sure you turn it on and make sure you will try to use hotkey. Using hotkey in basically any game is now very important if you want to improve in the game. So make sure you turn it on and make sure to set up your hotkeys properly, and you will try to use your hotkeys. I guess I can make another video regarding the hotkeys, but for now we'll just say this, that you should turn this on and try to adapt to your hotkeys. And then the hotkeys snap to unit. You can use this if you want. Sometimes I do, especially for my Explorer, for my TC. You can use this toward your advantage to be faster inside the game, so you don't have to like every time click on the mini map to find your town center. So you can just press the hotkey for your town center or your Explorer or any unit that you want, and then instantly the camera will jump into that unit or building. And then invert control or shift, I would personally not use this. I guess this is something that you might find useful. If you're adopted to it, then you can go for it. But since I don't use it often and I'm not adopted to it and used to it at all, you can just turn it off. I think by default this is turned off, so you can just play whatever and however as it is. But turn on to show the wonder. I would say you should have this on. Some of the Asian saves have special abilities and powers through their wonder, so you should have that on because this will help you a lot. Especially if you don't know what is the hotkey for the power, you can just click on the power inside the UI and that will be doing the job. And then this one, I would say it doesn't really matter if you have it on or off. Only matters if you're doing some challenges. And then hide floating text. You could potentially turn this off, but I really find this useful because I can see what is happening, which action is happening mid-fight inside the game. So I really find the floating text useful. So you can use it toward your advantage. I would highly suggest to just not hide it and just leave it as it is. And then we have the unit type. So make sure you have it on so you can see. Make sure you have it on. This will be helpful if you're new to the game, you're trying to understand the game better, so you can see which unit is doing what. You'll have a better understanding. And then friend or foe color, you could potentially turn it on or off. I've already explained how you can adjust the team colors inside the accessibility setting, but that is up to you if you want to use it or not. And then the display attack range indicator on single unit selection. This one you should have it on, so you will see what range your selected unit will have when you press or hold the Alt key. This is very useful for kiting, for artillery fight as well, for basically for any range unit that you have. This will be very, very useful. So make sure you have it on and you will know how it works and you will get used to it. This is how it works when you hover over the unit to see the range. As you can see, it just shows without even selecting the unit, and this is how the selection works. So while you're having the units selected, you go back and forth, left and right, it doesn't matter, it will always show you the range, and this is how the hover works. And then obviously when you don't want those, you can just have it by default and then use your Alt hotkey to see the unit range. So any unit that you choose, as you can see, as soon as you hold Alt, you will be able to see their range. If it's building or if it's unit, you can see. And for the melee units, you will see the line of sight of the unit. So as you can see, the line of sight of the unit is this much. This is for the range of the mortar. And one more thing, which is interesting. If you even drag all of these and hold Alt, you can see the range of each unit all together. So as you can see, this is how all of the range works for all of these units separately. So each circle is for a different unit. So this is how it works. And then game word tooltips, I guess you could potentially turn it on. It wouldn't really make that much difference because if you know how the game works, you won't really need this. But I would say for new players, they can just have this on. I'm already used to this, so I just leave it on because if the tooltip doesn't show, I would feel so weird. But yeah, that's why I have it on. It's something nice. You just hover on a tree, it says it's tree. If you go on a hunt, it says it's hunt, but it's something interesting. And then this is the delay for the tooltip. So as soon as you hover on, it takes certain amount of time until it disappears. And then the tooltip background opacity. So you can have this on more or less. It wouldn't really matter. I just leave it on default. This one I haven't even changed. Now we'll go to the last part of this video, which is the sound. So you obviously want the sound to be turned on because this is an RTS game. You don't want to not hear anything inside the game and just be like, yeah, I'll see everything. I don't need to hear anything. But yeah, it's very important to see and hear at the same time what's happening inside the map or what's happening inside the fight. Sometimes your opponent will attack you and the game will ping you. So you have to listen to those. Sometimes your ally will ping you. You have to check those out. So you can adjust the volume of the game to whatever you want. Since I'm usually recording or streaming, I have it on 50%. Sometimes I put it on 60% for the days that I'm not really talking that much. But usually this range between 50 to 100 is more than enough if you are not doing anything else in the background. You're not listening to music or anything. I guess you can put it on 100%, but if you're listening to music, you're talking with your friend in Discord, usually 60 to 70% is more than enough. And then obviously you want to have the allow player taunts because I love AOE taunts. They are very fun. They are very useful at the same time. You should know the game taunts. I will put them inside the description of the video so you can just see which one is what. You can find this also in any website that is related to AOE. You can just get so much value and information from the taunts. So you just press one number, enter, and you just give a warning to your ally or you ask for something instead of just typing everything. And then same for the taunt and AI chat volume. I have it on 50%. And then the music of the game, I have it turned off, but you can have it turned on if you're not doing anything else, but I have it turned off. So this is totally depending on what you want to do. All right, so that was all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and I hope you guys found some good information and learned something new from this. A lot of you have asked for this video, so there it is. Hopefully you will have a better performance and also at the same time improve inside the game as well with the current adjustment into the setting that I just told you and which one that you should use, which one you don't need. So this was all for this video. If you guys are interested in a hotkey video as well, make sure to comment down below or smash the like for this video. If this video gets, let's say, 30 likes, I will be doing the hotkey video as well, which is very useful, especially if you want to improve inside the game. If you want to be more advanced, the hotkey is very important. So that is for a different video. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to smash that like and subscribe and comment down below if you have any question. And until the next video, as usual, catch you guys later.